Hi, I'm Lindsay Bennett, Healthcare Executive. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to calculate net present value, or NPV, which is one of the four financial metrics used to evaluate and compare capital expenditures. We're going to do this in Excel using a realistic healthcare industry example. What is net present value? Net present value is the present value of all the discounted future net cash flows of a project. One of the advantages of using NPV is that it takes into account the time value of money. That's because it uses a discount rate assumption. And that discount rate assumption is what takes into account the opportunity cost of money, which is the interest it could earn in the bank, and risk. NPV is also cool because it can handle fluctuating values from year to year when you do a multi-year projection. Also, NPV is good for longer term capital projects because it is taking into account the time value of money. Now, one of the downsides of NPV is that it's not the best tool if you have two different projects that are very different in size and scale. Let's say that you have a $250,000 project that you're evaluating and a $20 million project. Well, that NPV number is going to be a dollar amount. And as you can imagine, it's going to be very different between the two. So it's not the best metric to use if you have two projects of very different sizes. There are other tools which I will tell you about in other videos.
In this example, I'm going to show you how to calculate net present value in Excel. In this example, we have a multi-specialty physician group with about 80 physicians, and they are evaluating whether they want to purchase AI-assisted coding and charge capture technology. So the cost over here for the software licenses is $350,000 with one-time implementation cost of $100,000 for a total capital outlay or initial investment of $450,000. Then what they've done is they have projected what they think the incremental benefits and the incremental costs of this are, which are the amounts of extra cash in or out that only occur as a result of doing this project. So the incremental cash flows are, they are expecting that the software will give them a reduction in denials equivalent to 1.2% of their annual net revenue, or $1,020,000. Then they are expecting that it is going to improve their charge capture, optimize their coding, and reduce their reliance on outsourced coding. And they think that that is going to result in another $320,000 a year back into the practice for a total incremental cash inflow of $1,340,000 a year. Now, if they implement this, they are going to have ongoing costs that they don't have now in the form of platform subscription and support costs of $270,000 per year. Now, note that this project has a 5-year life, and then they'll have to either update it or revisit it, but we've projected out 5 years this way. So right here in year 0, we have the capital outlay of $450,000. Then in year 1, in this column, we are now summing up the incremental cash flows minus the incremental cash outflows, which is giving us $1,070,000 net cash inflows in each of these 5 years. So now I can calculate the net present value, and we're going to do that in Excel. I've already done it right here, and you can see the formula up in the box. And I've also put it right here, so it's easier to read. But I will show you how to do it in Excel right here, which is that I'm going to go up here to the formula box and click on the function icon, and I'm going to type in NPV, or net present value, and that pulls up the function arguments. So what I need to do is, the first thing it's asking me for here is the rate, and that is my discount rate that I put up here of 9%. So I'm just going to click on that. And then I have to give it the values for each of the 5-year net cash flows. Now notice I didn't say the outlay, just the 5 years of net cash inflows. So for year 1, that's going to go in value 1 here in this box. So I'm going to click on that. And then for value 2, I am going to click on the net cash inflows for year 2. and then for value 3, year 3, and so on and so forth until I have each of the 5 years. And I can scroll down here and get a 5th year. So I've put those in. I'm going to hit enter, but I'm not done yet, because what I need to do now is go up here to the formula, and I'm going to do plus at the end. And then I need to add the capital outlay. So I'm going to click on that, and notice that I'm leaving that as a negative. So I'm doing plus a negative $450,000. Now I'm going to hit enter, and you can see what it gives me. It's giving me the same answer I got earlier right here. So my net present value of this project is $3,711,927. So that's a positive net present value. That looks pretty attractive. Now, if they were looking at some other things for their practice, then we might want to compute the net present value of another project and compare the two. When you're interpreting net present value, a positive NPV means that the project creates more value than it consumes after accounting for time and risk, and a larger number is generally better. A negative net present value means that the project costs more than the financial value that it creates. So in general, you want to use the project with the higher net present value and avoid projects with a negative net present value. However, sometimes organizations will proceed with the project even though it has a negative net present value if there is a compelling compliance or safety reason to do so. If you'd like to download the spreadsheet that we went over in this example, you can get the link in the description or by clicking on the link here. In the description below, you'll find a link to subscribe to my free mailing list, where you can take the next step and join me to build the technical skills and knowledge that we only just touched on in today's video. Inside my list, you'll gain access to free tools, free templates, and training to help you with your healthcare finance career.